Have you ever found yourself wondering what sets the standard for art? Is it the colors that are chosen? Is it the scene that is depicted? Is it the style that the artist chose? Or the message that they are trying to convey? This is what the Dadaists asked themselves in the early 20th century. Hi, my name is Michaela Knotts, and I would like to share with you about the Dada movement, an art movement that threw out the rule book and changed the art world ever since. I will discuss how the movement got its start, some of the artists who made it a success, and how the art scene has been influenced by them over the past century. This has been an interesting subject for me since I learned about it a few years ago in my art appreciation class. And hopefully, by the end of my presentation, you too will be able to enjoy art with some new perspective. Let's begin in Switzerland, February 1916. World War I had been going on for over a year now, and many artists who had fled their countries to avoid the draft found themselves in this neutral territory, specifically at Cabaret Voltaire in Zurich. Hugo Ball, one of the founders of the Cabaret Voltaire, saw this as a safe haven for artists of all kinds to express themselves through artistic performances. It was here that the Dada movement began. Many artists believed that the war was unnecessary and was caused by the childish behavior of the world around them. With this belief, artists began to use their art to mock society and the extreme nationalism that they believed led to World War I. The Dadaists believed that it wasn't Dada that was nonsense, but the essence of the age, which was nonsense, would be reflected in art all across the world over the next several years. Towards the end of the war in 1918, artists began to return to their home countries, encouraging the spread of the Dada movement. In Cologne, Germany, a new Dada group was created with the help of Max Ernst. Ernst used his art to question the logic of the world that surrounded him. For example, the artwork shown here is called Here Everything is Still Floating. It is a collage made up of photographs, drawings, and even bugs to illustrate the insanity of the society that led to the war. In Paris, a man by the name of Francis Picabia became a key figure to the Dada movement. According to the art story, Picabia thought humans were nothing but machines, ruled not by their rational minds, but by a range of compulsive hungers. Through collages, Picabia used humor to mock not only the society around him, but also art itself, a product of the culture he held in contempt. In his piece, Alarm Clock, Picabia illustrates Dada as being the alarm clock that awoke modern art as they knew it. Once the art movement in Paris began to feel like everything he had been mocking, Picabia headed to America with another artist, Marcel Duchamp. After arriving in New York with Picabia, Duchamp took up the art world by questioning what was aesthetically pleasing with the help of his ready-mades. Fountain, shown here, was one of Duchamp's most famous pieces. As you can see, it is signed by R. Mutt. This was a reference to the wealthy society that monopolized the art world. The R stood for Richard, which was French slang for moneybags, and Mutt was referencing the New York-based ironworks company J.L. Mott, who actually made the urinal. Several art movements in the following years owed Dada for breaking down the rules of society and paving a way for future artists to express themselves to a world that was a little more accepting. For example, Surrealism was a movement that formed during the 1920s that encouraged the artist and society to find the contradictions in the world around them. Newer artists like Salvador Dali and familiar faces such as Max Ernst used this movement to express the ideas of Sigmund Freud. By using symbols in their art, the artists encouraged others to search their unconscious mind to understand the message in the piece before them. Pop art is another movement that's would be traced back to the Dada movement. Although pop art didn't make its entrance into the art world until the mid-1950s, its main purpose was to blur the line between high and low art. For example, Andy Warhol's Campbell's soup cans created art out of an ordinary atom that could be found in several households. Today, the art world is no stranger to artists redefining what art is by using their works as messages, whether subtle or obvious, about issues that matter to them. Most artists push for a change in society and how people think, and I believe that all started with the rise of the Dada movement over a century ago. Thanks to all those artists pushing for a change, even street artists like Banksy have been able to find their place in the art world and let their voice be heard by a world more apt to listen.